On Sunday, the Rangers made a bunch of big changes to their offense, having been one of the worst in baseball. So, with all those changes being made, now what?
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covering this team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank y'all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, I'm talking about the Rangers hiring Bret Boone, a guy with no former coaching experience, but might be just the right move for the Rangers as their new hitting coordinator. Evan Carter and his back coming back to the big leagues, and with all these big changes. Now what? Before getting into all of that, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Now, on Sunday, after the Rangers drubbed the Mariners 8-1 to salvage a lack of a sweep against their division rival at the top of the AL West, the Rangers made some big old changes pretty quickly following the game. Donnie Ecker, the Rangers offensive coordinator, the man, the myth, the legend behind the Rangers 2023 World Series championship, he's out. He's fired. He was let go, relieved of his duties, however you want to say it. He and the Rangers have parted ways because the Rangers offense so far this year has been awful. One of the worst, no, the worst in baseball, with a group of incredibly talented, incredibly proven big league hitters that for a month we've been saying, hey, this offense should be better than it is. And it's not. And it just kept getting worse. So many guys in career worst slumps. The Rangers decided that the messaging, or that at least the messenger, was flawed, that they needed to bring in a new voice. And yesterday they announced that Bret Boone, former big leaguer, brother of Aaron Boone, manager of the New York Yankees, son of Bob Boone, former longtime big leaguer and former big league manager, and grandson of Ray Boone, a former big leaguer himself, he would be the Rangers' new hitting coach. Now, Bret Boone, if you don't know much about Bret Boone, I was just like you about 48 hours ago. Bret Boone was a career second baseman. He played with the Mariners. He played with the Reds a little bit. He played on Bruce Bochy's Padres in the year 2000. And he was also the second baseman on that 2001 Mariners team that won a record 116 games. And I was looking over his baseball reference page, just doing a quick what for of it. And I had honestly not heard much about Bret Boone because I was a little bit young when those Mariners were great, when Bret Boone was at his peak. I looked through the first 5-6 years and I thought, okay, decent big leaguer. And I managed to miss the year 2001, where he was the best player on the best team in baseball history. An 8.8 baseball reference for season, 37 bombs, a 950 OPS, finished third in MVP voting on the 116 2001 Mariners squad. That's a pretty good resume. He also led the league with 141 RBIs, and he has not coached in his time since being a big leaguer. He retired after the 2005 season. He spent 14 seasons in the big leagues, has 3 All-Star appearances, 2 Silver Sluggers, 4 Gold Gloves, has definitely the history, but he's been a podcaster for the last couple of years. And as a podcaster, I am always pro podcaster, and hiring a podcaster with no coaching experience, they could have called me up, but I don't think I'm quite as qualified as Bret Boone. I have 252 fewer career big league home runs. So I'm working on my first one, but I don't know that I will get there. I also don't know nearly as much about hitting as Bret Boone, but maybe they heard my strategy of, hey, just hit better, and maybe that will be kind of the case. But the Rangers thinking in bringing in Bret Boone, a guy with no former coaching experience, it's been done before. It's been done before pretty successfully by actually one of Bret Boone's teammates, who he shares a lot of his hitting philosophies, in Edgar Martinez. The Mariners have been a truly abysmal offensive team for, well, I don't want to say since 2001, but almost since 2001. And this year, their offense has miraculously come to life. And a bunch of hitters who had been very good other places, but were not good with the Mariners, have suddenly started hitting good. Well, Edgar Martinez is their hitting coach this year. He is instructing in the hitting this year. And they have been fantastic. They have been significantly better. And some of Bret Boone's hitting philosophies are very similar from Edgar Martinez. Heck, you look at that 2001 Mariners squad, you look at some of the players that Bret Boone played with back when he was with the Mariners. I believe 1993, he was a little bit before the days of A-Rod, and he was a little bit also after the days of A-Rod as Mariner. He joined back on the Mariners in 2001, and he left after 2003. But the teammates that he's played with, I mean, you look at the lexicon of great hitters. Ken Griffey Jr., right up there among the best ever. Edgar Martinez, an incredible hitter. Ichiro, an incredible hitter. Some of the guys that he has learned from have been some of the best hitters in baseball history. And a lot of the reason why they're bringing him in is for the messaging. That is what he is going to be in charge of. Now, with Donnie Ecker, with Justin Veal, with a little bit Seth Connor as well, those guys were more on the technical side of hitting. You know, with coaches, either they're kind of if you've played the college football video game, you know that there's kind of two different coaching skill trees of either you can be a motivator, you can give the right messaging, you can pump up your players and be a recruiter and be charismatic. But usually those guys don't know the X's and O's as well. And then you can be on the other side. You can be more of a, X's and O's guys, know the technicality of the ins and outs of everything. I mean, talk about the biomechanics of each swing and a lot of game planning with the old coaching staff. This was in an article written by Evan Grant at the Dallas Morning News. Go check out all of their coverage there. They do a great job of covering all of this. But one of the things that they talked about is that with Donnie Ecker and Justin Veal, they might have leaned a little bit more too much into one side of the coaching tree. And you need coaches who do all things. You can't have one coach do everything. And the Rangers pitching coaching staff, they've got a good mix of guys who know, the biomechanics of each pitches and how to construct each pitch perfectly for each scenario. They also have Mike Maddox, who's a little bit of that old school guy. I mean, he knows how to distill a game plan, how to give confidence into his guys, how to read his pitchers and tell them exactly what they need to hear in each situation. And he's not asked to be the one to know every nuance of every biomechanic pitch construction thing. You got other guys on the staff for that. And with the hitting coaching staff, it seems like this is an admission that they had gone too much in one direction. They need more of that, for lack of a better term, old school. But you need both. You can't just have one old school guy saying, "Oh, just grit it out. When it's two strikes, just choke up on the bat and then put the ball in play." There are situations, the different things work different, better for different hitters. That's why you need all kinds of different instructors. And with Boone, it seems like he's a guy who's just going to go in there and give the Rangers a little bit more of that older school mentality, a little bit more of that kind of, for lack of a better term, old guy. Just tell these guys, hey, you're good hitters. Go out there and, be gritty, be in your face, give them a little bit of that edge. That's what Bret Boone was brought in to do, because this team hasn't really had that much of an edge. They needed somebody to go out there and get in somebody's face. And as one of the better second basemen in baseball history, at least one of the better second base seasons that we've ever seen in baseball history. I mean, he's the perfect guy to go and do that, to give that kind of a messaging. He has been a messenger professionally since his days as a player. It kind of worked in their favor. He wasn't quite sure about getting back into coaching, getting back into baseball, but he said on his own podcast, hey, if someone were to be able to convince me to get off of the podcasting mic and go get back on a ball field, Bruce Bochy is one of one. When he calls, you answer for sure. And this was started over the last couple of days since the Rangers relieved Donnie Ecker. It was a pretty quick process, and he is going to join the team in Boston. He has already joined the team, I believe, in Boston yesterday. And so we'll see what kind of an impact this has. I think that this kind of a coaching change at midseason, it can yield really good results. A lot of times you'll see it with a managerial change, with a pitching coaching change. But Raiders don't do anything to your pitching coaching staff. They've been doing an incredible job. The pitching has not been the problem. It has been the hitting, and specifically some of the hitters. Some of the hitters who are now on I guess just one of the hitters who is right now on waivers. Jake Berger is in the minor leagues, and Leody Taveras has been placed on irrevocable waivers at this point. If he will come back to the team, I do not know. But the guy who's coming up is the guy who we all expected, Little Savior Evan Carter. Can Little Savior do it again and spark this offense? Talk about where he even fits in to this offense and why he might be the perfect guy to jumpstart an offensive revolution on this team. All that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by Monarch Money. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where do my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it is so easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. So you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place so you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared expenses and personal accounts, you can set goals, and stay on the same page without all that stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Shout out to the Everydayers for linking Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. On tomorrow's show, I'll be talking about hopefully a completely fixed offense. Everything's perfect. Everything is hunky-dory. The Rangers start a 130-game winning streak, and everything is perfect for the rest of the time. But even if that doesn't happen, I'll be there talking about this first game in the series against Boston. In Boston, Nathan Eovaldi versus Lucas Giolito. You can check out all of that on tomorrow's show. And hopefully part of this lineup in tonight's game in Boston, where hopefully it is not as rainy as it is right now as I'm recording, Evan Carter will be a part of this lineup. He is coming back to the big leagues. His back is back and feeling better. I don't know about better than ever, but it's at least feeling good enough to be an everyday regular. Chris Young said, hey, this is the plan. Evan Carter is going to rejoin the team. He is going to be a part of this team. They have seen what they wanted to see from him. It was a big surprise that he didn't make the opening day roster because, it was a cinch. It was a surefire thing. Instead, the Rangers got Kevin Pillar on this opening day roster, and he will stay there. But Evan Carter, they have seen what they wanted to see. And what they wanted to see was some consistency in the results, a little bit of mechanical changes in his swing. They also wanted to see consistency with the health and being out there, being out there every day, or at least, multiple days in a row. That wasn't really happening early on in the season. They also wanted to see him be able to come off the bench. That's what Chris Young said in an interview with 105.3 The Fan. They wanted to be able to see him come off the bench and pinch hit when the lefty starter comes out of the game, because he is an important part of this team. And, there are going to be some platoons in center field. It seems like Kevin Pillar is still going to get the majority of the starts in center field against left-handed starting pitching. That's fine. That's just a kind of the way things go at this point. I haven't really loved what I've seen too much from Kevin Pillar. The defense has been great. He's worked some pretty decent at bats. We haven't really seen him hit for power against lefties, which is something that he has done very, very well in his career. But so whenever the left-handed starter gets out of the game, it's probably going to be Evan Carter time. But where he fits exactly in this lineup, TBD at this point. And right now, Josh Smith has kind of been the everyday center fielder. And at this point, you've got to keep Josh Smith's gosh, I'm so good at saying words. Josh Smith's bat in the lineup, because he has been right now the Rangers' best hitter this season, and he was their best hitter last season. So don't you put Josh Smith on the bench. He has just been too darn good. So right now, my ideal starting lineup against right-handed pitching, leading off and playing first base. Yeah, that's right. I said first base, Josh Smith. Then you have Wyatt Langford in second. In left field, you have, or not playing second, but hitting second in left field. You have Corey Seager in the 3-hole shortstop. I'd still put Jock Peterson at DH in the cleanup spot. he's too good of a hitter. I think that with this new hitting coaching staff, we have seen the swings be better. I mean, if you watch that whole series against the Mariners and your thought was, oh, this guy is completely lost at the plate, he's got no idea what's going on up there, then I don't know what you were watching. Should have had 3, 4, maybe 5 extra hits that he did have. He nearly had his first home run as a Ranger, an absolute bullet off the bat, just about 2 feet to the right of the foul pole in foul territory, instead of clanging off of that pole for a 2-run shot, which would have been incredible for Jock Peterson, his confidence and Rangers fans' confidence in him. He's going to figure it out. He's too good a hitter to not to. Then in the 5 spot, you've got Marcus Semien playing second base, hitting 5th. He's been hitting much better in the 5 hole than he has elsewhere. So I'm hoping that he can also start to add, besides just the on base, re-add the power into his game. Hitting 6th, I'd have Jonah Heim. He has been one of the more consistent Rangers hitters so far this season. I've loved what I've seen from him bouncing back after a truly terrible year. This is a great, great sign for the Rangers, and not just this year, but also for the next couple of years with Jonah Heim at the backstop. Right behind Jonah Heim, I think I'd put Evan Carter right here. There's some thought about him maybe leading off. I think right now that'd be a lot of pressure on him after, just spending the last month or so in the minors and facing minor league pitching. And he's done well. He's done well in the last 28 days, the last 15 games. He's hitting 273 with an on base of 344 and slugging 546. That is an 890 OPS, 3 bombs, 2 doubles, 2 triples, and 5 stolen bases. That's 15 games. You put that over 150 game pace, not even 162, just 150 game pace. That's a 30 homer season. That's a 20 triple season. That's a 20 double season, and 50 stolen bases. 30 homers, 50 steals. That would be pretty darn good. I don't think he's going to keep up that pace at the big league level, but it's not like he was hitting 500 or anything. It's still a big, big gap between AAA and the big league. So I think hitting him 7th and also shielding him from, if they want to put a lefty reliever in there, having Josh Young behind him, hitting 8th and playing third base. It's a little low for having Josh Young, so low in this lineup when he's been honestly one of the more consistent Rangers hitters all season long, even more so than Semien and Peterson and heck, even at times Garcia as well. But Josh Young absolutely obliterates lefties. And so any opposing team would think twice before putting a lefty reliever in there, because even if they get Kevin Carter out, they've got to go face off against Josh Young. And then in the 9 hole, I think I would put Adolis Garcia right now. I think that's how I would stack up this lineup. There's some thought about maybe putting Evan Carter 9th, but then you've got 3 left-handed hitters and a 4-batter pocket. And while Smith in his career last year was really good against hitting left-handed pitching, and for the most part, Seager has been pretty good against hitting left-handed pitching. For the last couple of years, Seager has not been quite as dominant against hitting lefties, and this year so far, Josh Smith has not quite been as dominant hitting lefties. And Evan Carter, well, he does have a hit in AAA against a left-handed pitcher so far this year. It's a little bloop single into center field. And maybe he'll work more than his fair share of walks. Same with Josh Smith as well against left-handed pitching. But still, I think that putting Evan Carter right there in the 7 spot lengthens this lineup, and it gives the Rangers something that they don't have that much of in this lineup, which is patience. You have White Langford, who will work more than his fair share of walks. He has done a good job of, even when he's struggling, not expanding the strike zone, making good swing decisions, and getting on base, also doing damage as a base runner, being able to work a lot of walks and have a high on base while being incredibly fast and a good base runner. That is a great, great thing. And also White Langford adds that power element as well as those good swing decisions. And even though he's in a little bit of a rough stretch for the last week or so, he's still an incredibly talented hitter. But outside of that, the patience in this group is not that much. I mean, Josh Smith will work a lot of walks when Jock Peterson's right. And even right now, he's working a decent amount of walks, even though he's not able to get those fly balls hit with authority in the air over the fence or even into the gaps. He is still working those at bats. And the Rangers just haven't done a good job of walking, of getting on base, of stretching opposing starting pitchers to, throw a high number of pitches. And Evan Carter, even when Evan Carter's at his worst, the thing that never goes away You can't, speed doesn't slump, and batting eye, knowledge of the strike zone, does not slump. And Evan Carter has about as good a batter's eye as I've ever seen. There's a reason his nickname is Full Count Carter. He works a lot of full counts. He works a lot of walks. He does not swing at pitches out of the strike zone. He will force you to beat him in the strike zone. And in his big league career, at times, pitchers have been able to beat him in the strike zone. But it is much harder to beat him in the strike zone. And when he is right, when he is not in his head, when he has made the correct mechanical adjustments, he will not expand that zone, and he will force pitchers to beat him in the zone, which makes him a very, very good hitter. And even if he's getting out, even if he's slumping, he will still work those long at bats, work pitchers, pitch counts, and get them out of games sooner, get into that bullpen earlier and into the worst side of that bullpen earlier, which is something this team has very much struggled to do. But now with these next steps, if these changes don't take place, if this Rangers offense doesn't get fixed, where do the Rangers go from here? Talk about where they might go from here and what hope they have of turning this season around right after this. This show is brought to you by Game Time. There's nothing better than catching a baseball game live. You know, the crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, the smell of ballpark food. And if you're looking to do it last minute, get those last minute tickets, Game Time makes getting those tickets so much easier. With last minute deals all in pricing and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the stress out of buying MLB tickets. Plus, ticket prices drop as the game gets closer, meaning you can score an incredible deal. And they don't just have tickets to MLB games, they got tickets to minor league baseball games, they've got tickets to things that aren't even baseball games. Yeah, that's right. They got tickets to concerts, comedy, theater, you name it. They've got tickets to it. Games that are sports that are not baseball, they've also got tickets to those. No matter what you're looking to get tickets to, Game Time is the best way to get those tickets. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Shout out to the Everydayers making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. After tonight's game, you can go catch Locked On Rangers postcast with Jeff Biggs. He does a great job being with you after every single game with that immediate post-game reaction. He will be there tonight after this Red Sox game. So go check out the postcast with Jeff Biggs for all of your postcast reaction needs. Now, these are some big changes for the Rangers, making these changes, moving on from Leody Taveras, a guy who has been in the Rangers organization since, gosh, it feels like before time began. It's been not quite that long. His first professional season with the Texas Rangers was in 2016 with short season Spokane, because that was still a thing at that point. 2016, he was 17 years old. I believe that was the year also that he signed with the Rangers, was 2016. It's been a long, long time. A long time. Heck, that was the last time that the Rangers, when Leody Taveras signed his first pro deal, that was the last season that the Texas Rangers had made the postseason before he was the starting everyday center fielder on the World Series champion 2023 Texas Rangers. That was a long time. Heck, the Rangers keep losing guys that are their longest tenured guys. Before him, Jose Leclerc was the longest tenured Ranger, and now he's out of the organization. And, Leody Taveras is still technically in the organization. We haven't seen any reports of anybody claiming him just yet. But where do the Rangers go from here if these changes don't work? I mean, Bruce Bochy has never made an in-season coaching change in 27, I believe, seasons as a manager. It's been nearly 3 decades, just shy of 3 decades as a manager. He has never, ever, ever made a mid-season coaching change. Yes, this is year 28 as a manager. His first season as a manager was 1995. That was the year after I was born. Bruce Bochy's been doing this thing a long time. But if this change doesn't work, I don't think we will see some kind of dramatic firing spree. I don't think that the Rangers are about to cut Jock Peterson if he doesn't figure it out tomorrow. I don't think that's likely. I don't even think that anybody else is in the next couple weeks is going to be on the chopping block. I bet before long, Jake Berger is going to be back in the big leagues. This is definitely a big demotion, sending him to the minor leagues. A guy who has been a regular big leaguer and a good big leaguer for quite some time. He's averaged 30 home runs a season the last couple of years. I mean, last year it was a little bit of a down year for him. He had 29 home runs and a 760 OPS in a down season for offense. Heck, the season before he played 141 games. He had 34 home runs, 119 OPS plus. I mean, he has been a good big league hitter since he came up in 2021. He played more regularly in 2022, but he's been an everyday big leaguer since 2023. And sending him back down at age 29, it's a big change. I think that he will be back, and hopefully some time in the minor leagues. We'll just get him to get his head right, just absolutely obliterate some pitching. I mean, AAA is a very hitter-friendly league. All of those parks are pretty darn hitter-friendly, so hopefully he can just get some confidence back, just obliterate some guys who are significantly worse than everybody he's faced so far this season, and get that confidence back. And then who knows? But if these changes don't work, this is kind of the team. The team is pretty much set in stone with who they've got with Jock Peterson. It's a 2-year deal basically. And if the Rangers were to just cut bait with Jock Peterson, they'd be cutting bait with about $18 million. I don't think they're going to do that before, at least 3 months into his contract. That would be a bit more than a bit of an overreaction. That's just, I don't think it's going to happen. But the next guy who might lose everyday playing time is Adolis Garcia. I mean, he's been driving in some runs. He's had some decent at-bats. He hasn't been as bad defensively this year as he was last year. It's funny, 2 years ago, he was a Gold Glover. He was one of the best defensive outfielders in baseball. And last year, he was, if not for Leody Taveras, there would be a lot more ire for Adolis Garcia's defense out there in the outfield. And he was also not that great offensively last year. This year, he started off the season incredibly good, incredibly on fire that first week. He just looked untouchable, unstoppable. And he's looked pretty stoppable the last couple of weeks. Heck, if not for this, there's been a lot of people clamoring for Alejandro Ozuna to just jump up and take his job. And Alejandro Ozuna has done a great job in AA. The next stop for him, Chris Young said so, it's AAA. He's not bypassing AAA to come jump up to the big leagues. That's not happening. He's not quite ready for that. I think he's ready for everyday time in center field in AAA, which he will be getting now that Evan Carter will be back and playing every day. But you still have your super utility player in Josh Smith for if somebody's slumping, if somebody needs some extended time off, then that's what you have Josh Smith for. Well, right now you have him play probably everyday first base or maybe some right field, maybe wherever gets his bat in the lineup and can give some guys some half days, like a Corey Seager, like a Marcus Semien, like a Josh Young, like heck, maybe even White Langford, give him some half days, some DH days out there. But outside of that, the next guy to maybe get a demotion, maybe the Rangers cut bait with. It would take a lot for the Rangers just completely cut bait with Adolis Garcia, because right now the best 26 guys, I'm pretty sure, are on this big league roster. There's a reason that they are in the big leagues and not in the minor leagues. There's that temptation every time that someone's struggling at the big league level to say, oh, just call up the next guy in AAA, call up this guy in AA, call up this guy in low A, because this guy at the big league level, he's a bum. There's no way that this young kid isn't better than the guy we've got right now, because every once in a while that'll work. Sometimes you get an Evan Carter 2023 run where he comes up and he's absolutely sensational. He is untouchable. He is unbeatable. But then sometimes the reality sets in. Sometimes you get Dustin Harris, where he had a good couple of weeks, and then so far he hasn't been able to, play every day that much. He's had a great first, 3, 4, 5, 6 games, but since then has, pitchers figure it out. Pitchers figure out how to beat those guys. There's a reason those guys are in the minor leagues. It's because they're not ready yet. It's because they're not necessarily better than what's down there, or what's up here. What's down there is not always better than what's up here. And I think right now that's the case. I think that this new coaching staff can really implement some new messaging, can really hopefully change things up, can get these guys in a better headspace, because right now it seems like they're all in their heads. Every single one of them, it feels like, is very much in their heads. And just getting a guy to just remind them, hey, you've been a good big leaguer before. you're still a good big leaguer. You can go out there and crush these guys. Focus on what you're good at as opposed to crushing pitcher mistakes. Crush their best stuff. Do what you do best. And I think that's going to be a lot of the messaging. And I'm hoping that can be the case. But it seems like maybe less playing time for Marcus Semien is the next thing that might be on the chopping block. Maybe some more time of Josh Smith at second base and some more off days for Marcus Semien. Adolis Garcia maybe could be next. I mean, right now, Zeke Duran, I mean, he looked awful and completely in his head when he was in the big leagues this year. I mean, he just looked really bad. He went over 15, excuse me, over 14 with a sac fly and 4 strikeouts. But since he's been sent down to Round Rock, again, that is a pretty offensive heavy league. The PCL is a pretty offense heavy league. He's played 12 games so far down there. He's got 4 doubles. He got 3 home runs. He's stolen 5 bases without getting caught. He's hitting 340 with an on base of 392 and slugging 617. That is a 1,009 OPS. That is looking more like the Zeke Duran that we know that helped carry this offense in 2023. This kid's still 26 years old. I've by no means given up on Zeke Duran. I was kind of close with how bad he looked in spring training and how bad he looked early on this season, and heck, how bad he looked last year. But getting him locked in, this is a guy who could be I think, everyday big league starter, maybe even a pretty good one, borderline all-star. I'm not entirely sure, and having him not on this big league roster right now, it is a little bit tough. Maybe he will be one of the ones who's called up. Maybe the Rangers could use him a little bit more in some of those right-handed, left-handed platoon splits because he has crushed lefties. He has hit the ball very, very hard in the past, and he can play a whole bunch of different positions. I think that maybe that might be one of the next moves, if not the next move. Jonathan Ornelas, I believe, was called up, and Nick Ahmed DFA'd. I think I would have preferred Zeke Duran, but heck, giving him a little bit more runway in AAA to build up that confidence, build up just the confidence in himself that, hey, I am a good hitter. I can hit pitchers that are very good as well, and I can help contribute to this offense that has been really darn bad and should be better. Maybe this is the start of something new. Maybe it's not, but honestly, I'm just excited to see something different, to see Chris Young make some dramatic changes, because watching this team do the same thing day in, day out for another year would have driven me to absolute madness. Really hoping these are the changes that make everything different. But honestly, I'm excited to see what Bret Boone can do, and I'm very, very excited to see Evan Carter back at the big league level. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank y'all so much for listening and subscribing, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.